This episode is sponsored by Factor. With the hustle and bustle of the holidays right around the corner, it can be tough finding time to cook. But with Factor, you can still get delicious chef-crafted meals delivered straight to your door, no matter how hectic your schedule gets. They've got a ton of variety, from Asian-inspired meals to Mediterranean diet options to great seafood like salmon and shrimp. And the best part is, it's actually good for you. In fact, 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life. So get started at factormeals.com/command50off and use code command50off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year.
Greetings, humans. You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Command Zone podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Weeks.
I'm Jimmy Wong.
And I'm Jordan Pridgeon. Whoa.
That's right, there's three of us. Because today we are going back and ranking every single Precon that came out in 2025. And I know you're like, the year isn't over.
Yeah, it's
still 2025.
But Avatar doesn't have any Precon. Spider-Man didn't have any Precon, so we figured, let's just get this episode done.
Yeah, out of the way before the December deluge of
end of the year episodes.
Yeah.
So I enlisted the two members of the teams who did the most Precon upgrade guides this year, Jimmy Wong, of course, and Jordan Pridgeon.
2 years running.
Yeah, do we get an award?
Being on this episode.
Yay!
Okay.
Jimmy's like, oh.
That's why I'm here.
So we're going to rank every single Precon that came out this year, from Ether Drift to Edge of Eternities. Let's get into it. We have a little bit of context where we talk about all the Precons individually. There were 13 Precons that came out in 2025, so significantly less than last year. All 13 that came out this year were 3 colors, which I thought was kind of crazy.
That is kind of crazy.
They've really fallen into a rhythm with 3-color Precons.
Absolutely. There was no 5-color ones this year. So there were some last year. There's no colorless ones. There's no monocolored ones. It was wild. The most popular color groupings among them were Temur, Esper, Jeskai, and Mardu. Each of them had 2 decks. The rest only had 1.
Yep.
Today we're going to use a lot of statistics. We're going to try and measure the reprint value. We're using the numbers at time of release because that was the value you could get on the shelf.
Yeah.
And we'll look at some things in retrospective. But first, we're not going to use the overall reprint value for each deck. It's not a reliable number just because the Precon actual MSRP's value vary so much.
Yeah.
So we use 2 stats instead. We use a bang for your buck value, which is the reprint value divided by the pre-order price or the MSRP. And that just tells you, for every $1 spent, how much value in cards did you get out of that. The average bang for your buck value in 2025 was $3.06, which is pretty good because 2024 was $2.75. Nice. So we've actually gotten more bang for a buck on in Precons that came out this year. The other number that we'll be using is the average price per reprinted card of 2025. So this helps with Precons that have a lot of new cards in them.
Yeah, right.
So it helps adjust that number for the decks like the Final Fantasy decks that had way more new cards in them. They don't get dinged in both categories. So this is the total reprint value divided by the number of reprints in the deck to give you the average value of each individual card. Which this year was $2.16.
Nice.
Which is, again, up from last year. 2024 was $2.02. So we're up just a little bit.
Yeah, that's
value
a
year.
huge one.
And we're going to be grading each Precon that came out this year using a letter grade based on a couple of different criteria. Playability, which is how does the Precon play out of the box? Was it powerful? Was it fun? The reprint value overall using the numbers we've just discussed. The new card impact or just overall relevance in the format. And that's specifically the face and backup commanders and all of the new cards that came out. And then the final thing that we were considering is just cool factor. Is it neat? Is it different? Is it new? Is it exciting? So that's going to be a little bit different for each of us, but we'll each do a grade and we'll come up with an average for the Command Zone Ultimate grade.
Yeah. And we're, of course, comparing them all kind of to each other in retrospect.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that as well.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to talk about a lot of sealed products. We're going to talk about a lot of cards today. If you want to pick up any of those cards, you can support the show by going to cardkingdom.com/command. Card Kingdom has a huge selection of singles and sealed product. I'm sure you can still get some of these Precons off the shelf. I love shopping at Card Kingdom because when I buy a ton of cards all in one place, it's so convenient to just paste in a giant list, and it gives you one page to pick the condition, the foiling, the printing that you want, and you can scroll down, click a bunch of buttons, and hit buy. It isn't this whole day thing where you're like trying to find the perfect combination of, it's insane. Card Kingdom gets you done in and out. It's super convenient and gets you all the cards that you want in one place, and you know those are going to be shipped to you safely. It's a rainy season. I don't know if you can hear the rain on the roof, probably not, but we trust Card Kingdom to keep our cards safe in transit, and you should too. So again, cardkingdom.com/command.
And when you get those cards, keep them protected at ultrapro.com/command. You can probably still find a lot of the themed Apex sleeves, which is their best sleeve design. I know that they had some amazing ones from Tarkir Dragonstorm with the cool symbols from each of the dragons and stuff on them. But there's a lot of great product over at Ultra Pro to keep your deck safe. So whether or not you're sleeving up an entire brand new Commander deck, or you're just going on and getting your sleeves for your limited night, Ultra Pro's got you covered. They also have the amazing Mana 8 line, which we love signing at all the conventions. It's got that really stark white background that looks great with the Sharpies on them. And it's also just great to be able to represent your favorite color, whether it's in the binder form or the deck box form. So go to ultrapro.com/command. They got great deals going on all the time, especially on some older stuff too. You'll usually see that they try to clear out some inventory, and it's a great chance to jump on some stuff that you've been looking at again. But of course, maybe when it first came out, you were like, beyond my price point. So a lot of great stuff there as well. ultrapro.com/command. And the last way to support the show is directly at patreon.com/command zone. Our patrons are amazing. They get access to so many cool benefits, including our Discord, where you can talk with Josh, Rachel, myself, the rest of our staff, and of course join our amazing community there. Every patron also gets access to game nights and extra turns a day earlier, ad-free than the rest of the general public, so you can check out what happens in those incredible episodes before anyone else sees them. At higher tiers, you also get access to stuff like Turn Talks, which is a talk show that we do after every single episode of Extra Turns. And if you sign up now, you actually get access to every single episode that we've ever done. So if you watch an older episode of Extra Turns, you can immediately see all the players discussing the game afterwards. And of course, we shout out one lucky patron every single episode. So this one is dedicated to Daniel Hempin.
Daniel, you rock. And don't forget, we've got a Kickstarter going on right now. It's called Dueling Dragons. There's 2 playmats that come together to form one incredible image. The art's by Justine Jones. She's one of the coolest magic artists around, and we're obsessed with this. We've put a lot of work into it to get this art right and to get the spot foiling treatment right. So you can get this with beautiful foiling treatment that all lines up, and it looks really cool. It's in 2 different colors. So you could get one playmat, both playmats in foil, in non-foil. You could get it signed or unsigned. However you like this playmat, you can get it. And it's not going to last long. Once this Kickstarter is over, you are not going to be able to buy them. Go to the link in the show notes, click that, and support the Kickstarter. Get yourself a playmat. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
With the first set of the year, we're starting with a third drift.
Start your engine.
Absolutely. It was a race car set, so we got to start with the only thing that makes sense, a zombie deck.
Everyone's favorite set of the year.
Yeah.
Success on every metric.
Oh my goodness.
Eternal Might.
This is a white, blue, and black Precon. It's Esper. It was about zombies and looting. The face commander was Temet Noctimoon's Will. So not super high, especially for a Precon commander. But his backup commander, Hashaton Scarab's Fist.
Whoa. One of the coolest things printed this whole year.
Absolutely. And his number shows that he's ranked number 50 on EDH Rec as the backup commander, which is the best commander that was printed this year in terms of just decks built online.
I know why, though.
He's powerful?
No. Keep guessing.
Because I played him on game.
That's exactly it! Rachel showed up the power of Hashaton, and it is her.
It's
and
all
her
me.
alone.
It's not CEDH at all.
The Rachel Weeks effect.
That's it.
Casual 2-mana commander? No way, yeah. A great card, though.
He's extremely powerful, and he's very, very fun. So that was in this deck as well. The most played new card that came out, other than the 2 commanders, is Renewed Solidarity, which is sort of a delayed token doubler.
With also a little bit of an anthem
with a little Anthem effect on it. So that card's really sweet and is definitely, you said this was
worth noting, according to, the EDH rec rank of cards, this is the most played new card of any of these decks.
Wow.
that came out in any precon.
Do you think that has to do with the fact that Hashiton is also the most played commander?
I don't think so, because it doesn't really fit. Hashiton obviously works well with it because he doubles those tokens he makes. But I think the fact that it's just a general typal token doubler, that's just a really good combo.
It also remains more budget than a lot of the token doublers and works really well.
Yeah, it's only $7 right now.
Yeah.
Which...
The original 3 in a white one was also zombie themed, notably.
The Anointed Procession?
Anointed Procession, yeah.
3 in a white, yeah.
3 in a white.
Also came out in Omnicat.
That's true.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's true. It could be a callback to Anointed Procession.
Kinda is, yeah.
This deck had a couple of other new cards that are showing up on EDH Rec, but they're not ones that made a huge splash. It's a Cursed Dunyard, which is regenerating zombies and wraiths.
Skeletons, really
and
good.
Skeletons, shades.
It still feels like the sort of card that you're going to want to pick up whenever you build one of those typal decks.
Definitely a typal type card. And then on Wings of Gold, which is an Anthem effect for tokens, and it gives them flying. And then it's also a trigger for when things leave the graveyard.
Yeah.
So I think that one's a little expensive, but is definitely has some potential long term. Let's talk finances. The most valuable reprint at the time of printing was Rot Hulk at $15. Rot Hulk has gone down in value a lot since then. But at the time, that meant your bang for your buck value was $3.47 worth of reprints per $1, and your average price per reprint was $2.06. So a little above average on the bang for your buck, a little below average on the price per reprint. Those are the numbers behind the Eternal Might deck. What did we think about this one?
I've played against the Face Commander a lot. Someone in the office, Karina, had built the Temet Nectamoon's Will deck, and there have been a lot of zombie decks in the past. I think the best one ever was the blue-black Rot, what's his name?
Rot Cleaver.
Wilheld, the Rot Cleaver. That deck was amazing. And blue-black, just keeping it a little more solidified into that. I think this deck was a little split because it did have some token stuff going on, also some zombie stuff, and then mixing in the
and
Anthem.
eternalizing. They had a lot of different things going on in this deck, I agree.
And it might speak to the fact that Ether Drift also wasn't a super solid set, and it felt like maybe it was one of the sets that suffered a little bit from the crunch of just putting out too much stuff. So, but I still thought this was an overall pretty good precon, but not great.
And I do feel like one thing I like them doing with precons every now and then is just putting out a solid zombie typal or something that new players getting in, that sounds appealing. It sounds cool. And I do think it had a good set of staples for zombie typal decks. And we haven't really had an Esper zombie commander since Verena.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And those are the colors you want if you want to go into 3 colors for the thing. So it opened up all the white token doublers and stuff like that. I feel like this deck played pretty solidly out of the box. This is one of the only ones that I actually bought the box of it because I did the upgrade. So I was like, this is cool. And I have a Verena deck. So
I do too.
Yeah. So there were pieces that felt like they fit there.
Yeah, it definitely didn't compete with Verena in terms of trying something new or different in Esper Zombies, which I thought was a little disappointing because Verena also does looting and attacking with a lot of zombies. So it's very, very similar for a commander that is just sort of more powerful than Temet. But Hashiton obviously offered something very new here. For me, I also played this one out of the box. It played okay. It's a little clunky, a 5-mana commander that you need to have a board and you need to be attacking to draw cards and doing that. It did ask a lot of you to get value out of your 5-mana commander. But it's zombies, it's resilient, it's really fun. And a lot of the cards that they were in this deck were surprisingly relevant to other creature types.
Yeah,
so that was a big thing for me. I thought Renewed Solidarity is a cool card. On Wings of Gold is definitely one that I thought could show up elsewhere. And obviously the popularity of Hashiton made a lot of these new cards super relevant in Commander long term. For me, Eternal Might landed on a B. It was kind of zombies we've seen before. They're fine. This wasn't that much of a new take, but it had some cool new cards and a very cool backup commander that inspired a lot of creativity.
Yep, I gave it a B as well.
Yeah, B's where I landed on that one too. I thought it pretty much just did an okay job at everything, and the cards it printed felt very relevant to me. So I was like, okay, B.
It is.
Yeah, maybe because zombies are just so overdone, it's hard to like really make it like, oh wow, this was a really cool zombie deck.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've had like Verena, Wilhelt, this one, and they did the starter commander.
Yeah,
that was also
Gisa
zombies.
and
Gisa
Geralt.
yeah. So we've seen 4 precons that are zombie related at this point.
This fell into a problem which you see in precons every now and then, where there's like one other commander that does the thing, and it's just straight up improved by putting that commander at the helm.
Yeah. Did you end up doing that for your precon upgrade? Yeah.
I mean, I didn't switch it to Verena and the thing, but I added Verena to this deck.
Oh, I see.
And that's what I'm thinking is like, if you just took this deck and you put Verena at the helm, I think it would be better.
It's just immediately a better deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Which is a bit of a bummer.
Verena, is she racing cars?
No, that's a great point.
Great
but she could be.
Speaking of overdone archetypes, the second commander that came out in Ether Drift was Living Energy. This was a Temur energy deck this time. The third energy deck in what, 2 years?
Yeah. After
So
Modern
it's
Horizons,
blue, red, and green. It cared about artifacts, creatures, and energy. Oh my gosh, the pair is back together.
No way.
Oh boy.
The face commander. Can anybody name the face commander off the top of their head? I know you have a piece of paper in front of you.
It's...
Do you remember?
It's like Satcha Aetherflux Genius, or
the face commander of this one is Saheeli Radiant Creator. She is currently 300th on EDH Rec, so not super high for a face commander, which is a little bit surprising.
I don't even know what she does, to be honest.
Yeah,
This deck completely flew right by me, and I did not care for it.
Here's the thing: is like I had not played against either of these commanders. I hadn't seen anyone playing them. I hadn't heard of anyone playing them until literally on Sunday. Somebody in my play group had built Saheeli.
brought it
No
out.
way.
It was crazy. So for the first time, I played against this in October. But it's whenever you cast an artifact or an artificer, you get energy, and then you can pay energy to copy.
Copy
a thing.
it. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I made a statement on this last Precon review thing, but I really dislike energy. And I think part of it is that I was kind of burned because I played a lot of standard when like Amonkhet and stuff was going out. And if you remember, energy ruined standard for a while there and like really messed everything up.
Energy constantly is ruining things.
But thing two is when I see an energy deck and I see all the cards, I almost just like glaze over and think, oh, I don't have to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Because I don't like energy and all
I
these
don't
cards
wanna
are
know it.
only going to work in energy decks.
Yeah, and that was kind of what happened with these decks. Like the backup commander for this one is Pia Nalar, Chief Mechanic.
Yeah.
She's ranked 1,503rd on EDH Rec, so a far cry from any of the commanders we've talked about. There is a card that was like highly played out of this deck. It's Stride Hanger Automaton. And this card is sweet. This is whenever you make an artifact token, you also make a Thopter. But honestly, I think it is still underplayed because people hated this precon so much.
Yeah. That card is the only thing that like raised my rankings of this because I was like, oh, that is a really good card that I want in a lot of decks.
It is, there's one card in here that feels like it really made any dent. I was looking at the other new cards from it, and I didn't remember any of them. It's Adaptive Omni Tool is the equipment that buffs for the number of artifacts you control. It's good. It draws, if you have a lot of artifacts when it attack, you can draw another artifact.
It's a 3 equip.
It's a lot, but it draws cards and gives a huge buff. I don't think that's unfair. Etheric Amplifier is the manolith that can double the number of counters on permanents or players. So I've seen people get excited about that card before. I've never played against it, but I have actually heard of that. Financially, the deck was actually pretty good. Academy Ruins was sitting at $21. The bang for your buck value was $3.47. The average price per reprint was $2.11. So the bang for your buck at the very least was well above average, like 30-40 cents above the average.
And Academy Ruins like still has a decent amount of value even after being reprinted.
Yeah.
They had
It's
to do
just gonna be
something to
good
make
and
this
stuff,
deck
so.
appealing.
Yeah. It was, so the $21 reprint was definitely big. That was one of the bigger ones of the year, but that's kind of the only upside for me in terms of what the deck offered. Was like the value was okay. I wasn't that interested in the mechanics, especially after we've seen so many energy precons that are all doing basically the same thing.
Is this the first one that's straight up Temur energy though?
Yes. There was 2 Jeskai ones. So this is
Jeskai.
the first one that looped green in.
Yeah, so I mean, I get why they did it because people were like, where's my Temur energy deck?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
You did the Precon upgrade for this one, and it was just all cards from the last 2 energy Precons.
Yeah,
Because where else are you going to get them?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't even remember what the commander did. That's how unmemorable this was. I think energy decks, they're still at the point where it feels like they're like, well, we have to build out the archetype for it to be viable because you can't really build a good energy deck right now.
But they can't print it in standard.
So they just have to jam it all into, these Precons, and then it just ends up being, I'm going to run into the exact same problem when I talk about the Cloud Precon later on, which is just like I ended up putting just a bunch of cards from another equipment-based Precon into it. And it's like, okay, you're just, it's great. The ecosystem is small, but you end up just running a lot of the same things. And it's tough to, I think, they're just kind of in a tough spot. Maybe they'll get out of this hole soon, but I just don't know how energy evolves in the way that makes it that much more exciting.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like they've printed now at least 50 cards for Commander Energy, right? Because they like one of them was Fallout, so it had a lot of new cards in it.
Yeah.
And at this point, we have a lot of cards for Commander that are energy focused, and we do have a lot of infinite combos, which is the problem with energy. So like we played against Jarvis's 5-color energy deck, and we ran into that problem where we're like, if there's a combination of any 3 or 4 cards, this thing will probably go infinite.
I think the tough part too is that because even though they keep printing these cards, it's still a relatively small pool that you're pulling from for energy. So a lot of energy decks tend to feel very similar when you sit across the table from them.
Yeah. For me, a lot of these cards didn't really hit the threshold for playability long term. The reprint value was fine, but not incredible. The playability of the deck was fine, but not incredible. And I sort of just landed on a C. I would call this an acceptable Precon, but not one that I got excited about for sure.
Yeah, I gave it a C as well.
I went through and I did like our little metric for everything, and I landed on what I think was fair as a C, and then I said, screw that, it's a D.
I think that is fair. I think this is honestly the Precon that I was least excited for the entire year, but it was just sort of like, it checked a couple of the boxes and it offered some new stuff.
I think to be fair, though, we should at least address that there's a lot of people who seem to like really, really like energy.
Yeah,
there better be. They keep getting Precons.
There must be some data that shows that energy is popular, and I don't fault anyone for liking
if you like energy, that's great.
But it's just kind of, to me, I don't know, it's just tough for me to get excited about it at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's so much fun in limited when you have a very small card pool and you can build one archetype into it. Like Modern Horizons 3 energy decks were really fun, the blue-red ones. But now it's kind of like, I just don't know. I don't know. When are we going to get to the point where, because a lot of other archetypes in Magic have all of the history of Magic to draw cards from. Whether it's like, oh, cool effects that make you pay life for stuff. You can go all the way back to Alpha and find some weird
energy
cards
has one standard set and a bunch of Precons.
So it's just not a huge...
Modern Horizons.
Yeah, it's not a huge pool to build from. So to me, it's just not as exciting. And maybe we'll get there, but we might have to eat a couple more Precons before we do.
All right. Overall, Living Energy gets a C from the Command Zone, and that is the end of Ether Drift. Only 2 Precons for that set. We're going to move on to the next big set. It's Tarkir Dragonstorm, which had 5 Precons. 5, so there's 1 for each set of 3 color pairs.
Yeah, the clans.
We're going to start in alphabetical order, starting with Abzan Armor. So this is white, black, and green. The archetype was sort of toughness and defenders, but also had some sort of like graveyard and like sacrifice reanimator type stuff going on. It had a couple of things.
Had a butt strike commander.
Butt strike commander. Well, yes, yeah. The face commanders, Felithar the Steadfast.
But it's also worth noting that in all of these, they were sort of set up, and it was on the box that even though one was the face commander, either was supposed to be able to swap in and out, depending on what you want.
Which was actually interesting for this one because the commanders were very different. There was Felithar the Steadfast, which was ranked at 167 overall on EDH Rec, so pretty high. And the backup commander was Baator Ancestor's Voice, which is ranked 182nd among commanders on EDH Rec. So they're both quite high, and they're very different. Baator is sort of like a life gain and life loss reanimation commander. Felithar is more focused on the toughness aspect and sacrificing creatures to draw cards. The most played new card of the set was Will of the Abzan. So the Wills were back in these Precons. If you control your commander, you get 2 things. Will of the Abzan's a cool one. It's everybody sack a thing and you reanimate something, so it can be a huge blowout, but it's sorcery speed and 4 mana.
Yeah, that one's good.
The other notable new cards were Canopy Gargantuan, which is like a big dragon that sort of doubles toughness.
Everything every turn, right?
And then Arbor Adherent, which is a dog that gives you mana equal to the greatest toughness. So it's sort of like a Selvala approximation.
Yeah.
The most valuable reprint in the deck was $16 with Dragon Lord Jamoka, a cool reprint. The bang for your buck was $3.67, and the average price per reprint was $2.30.
It's also worth noting this deck had a Seedborn Muse in it, so bracket 3 right out of the box.
Is this the one that had the infinite combos?
The Lands one had one too.
Yeah.
Because it was Dakmor, Salvage, and Gitrog.
Oh,
Dakmor and Gitrog? Insane.
Yeah. We'll get to that one. So both of those reprint values are above average for the year.
Yeah, I thought this deck was pretty okay. I liked it. I think, again, it kind of runs into the problem where it's like, Abzan, toughness matters. It's like, man, we've been on toughness matters for a while.
Yeah.
So I actually thought Baator was a much more interesting commander because it added reanimation into the mix with that life gain, life loss sort of thing. But I thought this was an overall pretty solid deck. I just gave it a B.
Yeah.
With these decks, when they came out, because, there was all of them, we actually at lunch, played, I want to say 3 or 4 games where everybody just played those decks. And I thought Abzan Armor seemed okay, but it never did anything.
Yeah.
Compared to everything else.
I definitely nearly died to a double striking Zetalpa that hit with its butt.
They love to put Zetalpa.
I was just like, you have a Merit Lage with Vigilance. What is happening?
Amazing. They need to ban this card. This is a game changer.
Game changer Zetalpa.
Wow.
I actually liked the Toughness Matters. It had been a while since we've really done something like this. So for it to be like a big popular set like Dragonstorm and to go back to an archetype that people do really like, I thought was neat.
Sure.
I was very impressed that both of these commanders were very popular.
Yeah.
The fact that they're so different and they can both pilot this deck and they both sort of sparked something inside of players is really cool. I agree it was sort of less functional of the decks. I think it was just harder to play. It's difficult to play highly defensive decks.
Yeah.
Especially when you need to make a pivot into aggro. But overall, I thought this deck was sort of cooler than people gave it credit for.
Yeah.
I thought Will of the Abzan was one of the cooler ones of the Wills, and Arbor Adherent I think is still a card that needs to catch some steam. It taps to add X mana of any one color where X is the greatest toughness among other creatures you control. That could be huge, and we really haven't seen a ton of play out of it, not to mention it's a dog, so it's relevant creature type.
Yeah, it's 4 mana for a dork, which is...
Yeah,
can be tough, but that's a pretty
dorks.
Powerful.
Yeah, we saw a similar one in Strixhaven where it was equal to the amount of life you've gained this turn, but it's also a 4 mana tapper. So I think it's just, once you get above a 3 mana tapper, you really are in tough territory.
Yep.
But of course, there's ways to reduce that cost.
Yeah. For me, I thought this deck was pretty cool, and I landed on an A, mostly because of the excitement of people playing Baator and Felithar. Having 2 super relevant commanders that are different, especially in Abzan, which for me is a color pairing that is either +1 counters or combo, and it was cool to have 2 new ones that are doing different things.
I was less impressed by this deck. I'm definitely... bias because it just didn't do that well in those.
Well, I don't know if you heard, Jordan. It
has Zetalpa.
It's a matter of skill, actually.
It's a skill
you
issue.
just gotta have them Flappy Bird.
You gotta be better with your Flappy Bird. Yeah,
you just gotta flap a little more. And because I weren't flapping, I ended up on a C for this one.
That leaves our overall command zone grade at a B, smack in the middle. You win, Jimmy.
I was right.
You win.
That's how this works.
As long as you pick in the middle, you win.
Each time, yeah. Never waver. Don't be too controversial, everyone. Right down the line. All right.
Up next is the Jeskai Striker Precon. This one's white, it's blue, it's red. It was shocking. Prowess.
Prowess?
Wow. It's always prowess.
And extra spells.
Yeah, it cared about the double spell thing that the main set was doing, so it was Flurry was the keyword for that.
Yeah.
The face commander was Shiko and Narset Unified, which Prof played on Command Zone.
Brilliantly
on
piloted.
Game nights. It's ranked 426 on EDH Rec, so fairly low. And its backup commander, Elsha Threefold Master, was ranked similarly 425 on EDH Rec.
This is the 1/1 trample one?
This is the 1/1 trample with prowess, and then when it hits, you make that many monks with prowess, which we talked about forever as to just how much a nightmare that is.
Yeah, that's why these are, I think, ranked so lowly. Is no one wants to figure out +1/+1.
I don't want to play
triggers.
this in paper.
Yeah.
Are you insane?
Yeah. I wonder, it'd be cool if we could be able to see the arena stats for Brawl. Because
Sure.
I think a deck like Elsha saw a lot more play in that format.
Did they
that's
release these precons on Brawl?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
If they did, this is the kind of card
Yeah,
I would see. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's
Because you don't have to think about it so much.
You know what I think is, I gotta say, slight cowardice in this deck?
yeah.
They didn't just release a dragon. They had to combine a dragon with Narset. All the others, it's like
Just
one
get some
dragon.
Yeah.
one
You're right.
It's the whole
person.
March of the Machines trend of, putting two peeps together.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the most played new card that isn't the face or back of a commander is Will of the Jeskai. This is a very cool card. It's
Will's
sort of
getting around.
I know. He's like, there's a Will in every tribe here.
That's cool.
It's each player may discard their hand and draw 5 cards, or all your instants and sorceries gain flashback.
Yep.
Which is pretty powerful. That is really the only new card of note.
And it's the only new card in the deck that is currently worth more than $3.
Yeah,
So a
there's
little-
like the aura with Storm that's like a super duper all that glitters, and then there's an enchantment with Flurry that makes monk tokens.
Yeah.
But like neither of these even clocked on my radar in terms of cards I remembered being printed in this precon.
Yep.
And the most valuable reprint at the time was also lackluster. It was Veyron, Voice of Duality, which was only at $9.50.
Another nightmare card to play.
Yeah. That was the worst, most valuable reprint of the year. So every deck had a card that was worth more than that somewhere. So not great. The
Yeah.
bang for your buck, though, was on average at $3.07. And the average price per reprint was below average at $1.82.
I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm sick and tired of Jeskai decks.
Yeah.
You're not a Jeskai guy.
I build a couple of Jeskai decks, and every single time I do, I go, why am I playing
What?
this is not fun.
Yep.
When you have 1/1 counters and +1/+1 prowess triggers, and then they stack differently because you made this token after the rest of them.
This one gives +1/+0.
Yeah.
You're like,
It's
no!
like, I mean, I even remember filming on the day with Prof. He played, I forget what card it was from Strixhaven. It was one of those ones that, had a cast or copy trigger on
Sure.
it. And then you now have to track if you're casting and or copying things too. So it's just like a nightmare to play against and with. So for me, this type of deck didn't bring anything new to the table. I gave it a pretty bad rank. I gave this a D for dud.
I think you're brave giving it a D. It was a very powerful precon. We
That's
haven't
the thing,
noticed
right?
that.
I think I'm putting a lot of weight on playability and remembrance.
It definitely was good. Like if we're talking about just like the deck played really well. I remember playing it against it out of the box, and it was Karina was playing it, and she's like, this deck is busted and I hate it. And that's how I feel about Jeskai always.
All the time, yeah.
Always.
It's hard to strike a really good balance with like not powerful. Because even in the set, I remember talking about all like the Narset cards and being like, this is just the most powerful card in the set.
Yep.
Yep.
I gave the playability really high. The reprint value is low. The relevance is low. The coolness factor is low. You know what? I think you're right. I'm going to call this one a D.
Nice.
I think you won me
If
over.
Jordan says D as well, then once again, I am right.
You
and
are right,
I wasn't
and
risking
you're
it.
winning.
I thought that was going to be on the lower
No,
side this
I
time
think you're
around.
totally right. I think there's a lot of problems with this deck, and we spent the most of the episode talking about this deck being just like, what a nightmare.
Yeah, it's a
Can
nightmare.
you imagine
It's
doing
tough.
like you have an aura with Storm that gives the enchanted creature +1/+1 for each enchantment you control.
Oh,
half of your
man.
stuff has prowess. Half of your stuff has this magecraft prowess.
Varen on it,
totally
yeah.
different.
This is counting the deck.
This is the deck out of the box. Are you insane?
Okay, look, to be fair, I like complicated decks. I like decks that take some work to play. But this
And
is
there are a
like-
lot of players out there too. We don't begrudge you again.
This is not the type of work I like putting into deck. Like, what I do hate is when you like draw a card after doing a big turn and you go, I should have been counting all the spells I cast earlier.
Jeskai decks always feel like homework, and I feel like this one was particularly bad.
I had it at a C, but I'm willing to give in to peer pressure and move it down to a
No! Okay, fine.
No, you're right. You're so persuasive, Jimmy.
Oh, that's why. Maybe I shouldn't be saying my letter grade before the rest of you.
You're so persuasive. All right. We've got 3 more Precons to talk about in Tarkir and 2 more sets for the year. We're going to get to those. But we want to hear from you. What Precon was your favorite of the year? Do you think we haven't been fair to the Precons we've talked about thus far? Let us know in the comments, and we will see you in just a few minutes.
Oh boy.
Hey Josh, how's it going?
Oh, hey, fast food. How you been?
Oh, bad man. I thought we had a good thing going. You used to order me every day.
Sorry, fast food. I've got Factor now. Their delicious chef-prepared meals have really helped me live a healthier lifestyle. Plus, they deliver right to my door, saving me time and money.
Okay, I'm a bad habit, but come on, aren't you bored of Factor by now?
Not at all. With the huge variety that Factor offers, I'm always trying new things. They've actually expanded their menu with new Asian-inspired dishes influenced by China, Thailand, and more. I've even been enjoying their salad options. Just today, I had the Santa Fe chicken salad with tortilla chips and cilantro dressing. It's healthy and delicious, unlike some giant talking hot dogs I know.
Salads? Oh, man, I guess it really is over between us.
Oh, don't cry, fast food. Here, have a Factor meal. On me.
Oh, dang. That is good.
Eat smart at factormeals.com/command50off and use code command50off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code command50off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase.
Hail, customers, it is I, the Grey Merchant of Asphodel. When I started selling my wares, it was a struggle trying to do everything myself. The job was always draining, and I barely had 2 pips to rub together. Luckily, that's when I found Shopify. Their devotion to helping new businesses grow is practically infinite. Shopify got me started with my own design studio, which made it easy to build my online store with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Oh, this one has plenty of black. Plus, their robust email and social media tools helped me ramp up my marketing campaigns to grow my Grizzle brand. It's no wonder they power 10% of all e-commerce in the US, including the Command Zone store. In fact, with Shopify's expertise in inventory, shipping, returns, and more, I call them a true win condition for any business. Thanks to Shopify, I finally made a name for myself, and that name is Bob. What? Bob's already taken? Fine, Gary it is then.
Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/TCZ. Go to shopify.com/TCZ. Again, shopify.com/TCZ.
Rachel, wake up.
Josh,
Yeah.
I had the most wonderful dream. I had a dream I was asleep
Oh, no, you were asleep.
in a bed.
That's different.
The most comfortable bed ever! With a high-end mattress made from quality materials, and it wasn't even ridiculously overpriced. But alas, it was only a crazy dream.
I mean, that sounds exactly like my Brooklyn bedding mattress.
It's real?
Yeah, Brooklyn Bedding gives you the top-tier mattress experience without a sky-high price tag. My Aurora Luxe cooling mattress is super comfortable, and it's really upgraded my sleep. Plus, they've got mattresses for every body type and sleep style. Just take their sleep quiz, and you can find the perfect fit for you in less than 2 minutes. Brooklyn Bedding even offers a 120-night comfort trial. If you try your mattress and don't love it, they'll help you swap it out or return it hassle-free.
Wow, it's literally a dream come true. Is there a flying hippo?
No.
Almost then.
Go to brooklynbedding.com and use our promo code COMMAND at checkout to get 30% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else.
That's brooklynbedding.com and promo code COMMAND for 30% off site-wide. Support our show and let them know we sent you after checkout. Again, brooklynbedding.com, promo code COMMAND.
Yes! I win! Probably. Anyway.
Probably. What's going on?
I just goldfished a huge turn on Archidekt. Check it out, they've got the best playtester in the business. Playing and tapping your cards is as simple as clicking them. Everything goes right where you want it, but you can drag things by hand and group them together in different ways too. Then there's easy shortcut keys for things like making copies, sending cards between zones, and starting the next turn.
Nice, so this is a Traxo. All that proliferating's gotta take a while.
It doesn't actually. Just right click and hit proliferate all counters.
Oh wow, yeah, you probably do win.
I think so.
Archidekt is the best place to browse, brew, and playtest commander decks. Just go to archidekt.com/command zone to get started.
That's ARCHIDEKT.com/command zone.
Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about every single Precon from 2025, all 13 of them. We're in the middle of Tarkir Dragonstorm. Let's get back into it with
The storms of
Mardu Surge.
Mardu or do not. There is no Mar-try.
Surge or don't.
This is the white.
That's so bad.
This is a white-black-red Precon that was themed around tokens and sacrificing tokens specifically. It was very aggressive. Its face commander was Sergo Surge. Stormrender.
Sergo.
Ranked 119 on EDH Rec, so very high. Honestly, higher than I was going to give this card credit for.
Yeah.
At the time, it surprised me how popular Sergo is. The backup commander is not so much. It's Neriv Crackling Vanguard. It is ranked 1065
Wow.
on
Not so
EDH
hot.
Rec, so pretty low. I have also played against this commander. It was the same guy who built the Saheeli one.
We need to interview this person.
I know. He likes the
This is an
commanders
anomaly
no
that
one
must
else
be
likes.
studied.
It's very
There's
bizarre.
something valuable to be learned here.
I know.
I'm not kidding. Let's talk to them.
The most played new card in this deck was Gold Lust Triad.
All
To
right.
be fair,
Dragon
it's
with
kind
me.
of a sick card.
This card's sick. It's gnarly. Anytime you can put Gold Lust on a card, I'm
a
in.
myriad
Yeah.
4/3 flyer that makes tokens when it deals damage.
Yeah,
Like,
sweet. Sold.
all right.
And it had a lot of good new cards. Inox Strike Leader is really powerful, turns your commander into an Adeline and sacrifices to protect your tokens.
Yep.
And Will of the Mardu
Yeah.
is Call the Coppercoats plus a
Plus,
removal
yeah.
spell, basically. It's had a great reprint. The most valuable reprint was Grand Crescendo at $19. The bang for your buck was pretty high at $3.47, and the average price per reprint was $2.08. So pretty normal, a little above average on the bang for your buck value.
I also kind of liked a card I don't think we listed here, which
Yeah.
is Infantry Shield.
Oh, this one's cool too.
It's the one that's an equipment, and it gives the creature that you do menace and mobilize X, where X is its power. So it just makes a ton of little duders.
Yep.
A ton of little duders.
A lot of
little
duders.
wills.
I will say, like, of all of the Precons, I do feel like in Tarkir specifically, this one had a great suite of new cards.
Yeah.
Like, that were very exciting stuff that, like, I have copies of Will of the Mardu and Inox Strike Leader and Gold Lust Triad, and I didn't buy this Precon. I just picked up a bunch of singles. So this is a pretty deep pool in terms of relevance long term.
Yeah, it definitely gets the relevance bump.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did this play in your the pods where you were playing them against each other, Jordan?
Fine. It always put a like decent board on the battlefield, but it's like I found this with a lot of these because we've had a lot of just Mardu, go wide,
Yeah.
a little bit of aristocrats, pump the board type stuff recently.
Yeah, it
They
was in
always
Fallout
do
as well.
okay. Yeah, but they have a hard time like finishing things off. Like because there's going to be something that flies or something that gets bigger or it does a big play, and they'll just have a wide board of little 1/1s and
They can't kill
2/2s.
everyone at once.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how it experienced when we played it.
Yeah. It's fast into the gate, draws a lot of cards, but needs that reach pretty bad.
It was never like it was in last place doing nothing, but it never seriously felt like it was going to win most of the time.
That was sort of how I felt about this deck. I remember doing the upgrade for this one and being like, yeah, it's got some like cool tricks. It has some cool cards in it, but like, you know, it's Mardu tokens. Like Sergo Stormrender is a card that we've literally seen before. It was like the uncommon commander that says whenever an attacking creature dies, draw a card.
Yeah.
That I was like, this card isn't popular. And then when Sergo came out, it suddenly was. So it kind of surprised me how beloved this Precon was in particular. But people really did seem to like it. For me, it was like pretty playable. You could do some cool stuff. So I would call this like an A or B on playability. The reprint value was like fine. It was sort of an average to above average. So I called it a B. But the new cards coming in there did make this just like a really good stack of 100 cards to buy for me. So I landed on an A for Mardu Surge.
Very cool. Yeah, I guess I wasn't too pulled into it either way. I think I only really gave my A's to the decks that made me feel inspired.
Yeah.
And I played a lot of Tarkir Dragonstorm as a limited set. I think the token generation mechanics they created were interesting, but not the kind of thing that makes me go like, oh, I can't wait to do this in Commander. So I gave this a B.
Sure.
Yeah, I was mostly B's across the board, and then I docked it on cool factor because I've seen this. This is
But Sergo's so cool.
This is like what I expect a Mardu Precon to be. So it ended up in a B for me.
Yeah. That leaves our overall grade a B as well.
Yeah, and maybe it's the sort of thing where, like, look, we're in a position where we've seen so many of these precons and played for years, but, like, if you're a new person coming in, maybe you just want a go wide tokens attack people deck. So
I think that's completely fair, especially for a set like Tarkir Dragonstorm that was so popular with, like, so many players. I think the dragons really sucked people in, and there was a lot of hype on just being aggressive, doing the thing. So
yeah, I actually think Nerv is more interesting than Zergo, honestly.
I agree.
Whereas I feel like if Zergo dies, you're just kind of in a bad spot.
Yeah, for sure.
But Nerv is like, it's okay if Nerv dies. Your deck is still really just punching out damage.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next Tarkir Dragonstorm deck. This is Sultai Arisen.
Oh, baby.
So it's blue, it's black, it's green. This was a self-mill deck that was sort of all about stuff leaving the graveyard, which is a new mechanic that we hadn't really seen supported by those words specifically. It also had a little bit of a zombie thing going on, but was more focused on graveyard stuff. The base commander was Teval, the Balanced Scale.
Card's busted.
This card is busted. It's very popular. It's ranked 44th among commanders on EDH Rec. So very high in terms of face commanders. Not the most the highest of the year. The backup commander, however, is Kotis Sibsig Champion, is the lowest ranked on EDH Rec at 1,587.
Wow.
Which is pretty surprising to me. I think this card is good.
Yeah.
It's just not super interesting. I think it kind of had the similar problem to the Winter Duskmourn Precon that we talked about last year, where Winter was just kind of like, yeah, it was pretty good, but it wasn't necessarily breaking any new ground.
They're just kind of things that in the same colors that do the same thing better.
Sultai has that problem a little bit as well.
Yes, for sure.
But that's why Table was so cool to me, is that it introduced, because I go back and I think about the other big Sultai commanders, and they're all like, remove on sight, awful, oh my gosh, how dare you. You're going to play every single card out of your graveyard again. And Table sits at a really nice spot where it's like, yeah, it's bad, but one turn with him alive is okay.
Yeah,
2 to 3 turns with him, it's like, okay, now we should try and deal with this, or at least, find a way to deal with those tokens.
And it's kind of funny because it's like a graveyard deck that if people are doing those little like shootout cards from your graveyard, you're like, oh, fine, give me zombies.
I love that, yeah.
Give me them zombies.
That's totally fine. The most played new card was Teval's Judgment. This card is sweet.
This card's
insane.
awesome.
It's really, really powerful value engine, but it also had other cool new cards in terms of the new design cards.
Yeah.
Colossal Grave Reaver was in this precon, a very exciting new dragon, a cool reanimator target, and Will of the Sultai. Welcome back, Will. This is the Splendid Reclamation, brings back all the lands and then makes something really big.
Yeah.
The most valuable reprint was Obnixilis the Fallen at $17. Weird,
but just old card. Oldie but a goodie.
Weird. Welcome back, Obnixilis. The bang for your buck value was quite high at $3.71. Really high. Your average price per reprint was $2.28. So again, above average.
So, okay, one thing I've noticed about this one, if you look at the prices of stuff now, this is like one of the best decks you could have gotten.
In terms of holding value?
Yeah, I mean, so like we mentioned Obnixilis the Fallen as the most high value reprint, but there's some really good reprints. Life from the Loam, Dothy Voidwalker, Conduit of Worlds, Command Beacon, all of those are worth more than $5 now, are just awesome staples for the colors and stuff like that. Like, this was a good deck.
This was one of the few that I bought from the year because I saw this deck list and I was just like, you know what? I could use a double of all of these cards. I like what's going on here, and a few of these cards are going to go into my City C deck. So I didn't keep it together very long, but it was one that I just sort of snap bought off the shelf.
Well, and Teval's Judgment and Colossal Grave Reaver are both worth over $10.
Yeah.
Which not many cards were new printed this year are worth that much.
So yeah, if we're talking about playability, this deck was sick out of the box. It totally played. It had a lot of resilience. It had a flying commander that ramped you. The reprint value was really high at time of printing, and today the relevance in terms of new cards is really good. I mean, there's at least 3 cards that are showing up in decks today. Cool factor, it's fine. It's Sultai Graveyard stuff. We've seen this kind of thing before. But it did have a little bit of a twist that made it slightly more interesting, in my opinion. So for me, this wasn't quite enough to get it to an S, but there's a lot that's working here, so I was super comfortable giving it an A.
I gave it an A as well.
I think it's a solid A, and I feel like to be an S, it just needed to have some element that made me go, oh my God.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, it just wasn't quite surprising enough,
No.
I think was the thing. It was like you looked at Tival and a lot of people were like, yeah, it's Sidisi-ish.
Yeah.
And that sort of kept it from being this like crazy engaging thing. But I think an A is a good spot for it.
Yeah, I think also if you look at like a good gauge as to why this has done well as well over time, it's just the colors it's in.
Yep.
Black, blue, green are all super high value colors in Magic, going all the way back to Legacy and Vintage. Whereas Mardu, not so hot in terms of, being
Holding
super
value,
holding value. Yeah. So the same will go for the next deck that we talk about as well.
Well, and out of the box, Sultai Arisen played like gangbusters.
Yeah, it was nuts.
It was so good.
Yeah. This next one played pretty well out of the box as well. This is Temur Roar.
Rawr.
It's blue, it's red, it's green. Its archetypes were dragons.
Yep.
Dragon.
And also it had like a 4 power or higher thing matters. The face commander was Ureni of the Unwritten, 143 ranked commander on EDH Rec, which is honestly
Surprising.
And the backup commander was very popular as well with Eshki Temur's Roar. This is number 256 on EDH Rec.
Yeah, both of these coming in under 300 means that both of them were pretty popular. I thought
Right.
Eshki would be higher than Ureni, given that Mirim is already there. But
Yeah.
I think Ureni is just one of those. It's similar. There was also a card in the set that was just like 8 mana, win the game type Temur
Yeah, the
Dragon.
other
Yeah.
Ureni,
Which is really fun. So I think like this again, it strikes a good balance of not being, because my Mirim deck, I literally I'm taking it apart because when I play it, no one is enjoying that game really.
So
Yeah.
I will say when we did our lunch games, because I was upgrading this deck, I played it and I was a little skeptical of it being that fun because it's like a
Yeah.
huge,
7 mana.
7 mana dragon
crazy
commander. It was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
felt so powerful. Like if you could give it haste and you could play it ETB, play a free dragon, attack,
and then
get a
attack.
free dragon, you were just like, I am a god.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's also the case when you're playing precons and you just have more ramp than the other precons around you.
Yeah.
Like this deck could just go over the top so much easier than
Yeah.
a deck like the Mardu deck or the deck like the Abzan deck. They just don't have that same push to put you in the next level of the game.
It felt like you were commanding very powerful dragons playing the battlefield.
I will say in terms of the new cards outside of the command zone, Thunder Mane Dragon was the most played new card, which is not a super good card,
Yeah.
really.
It's really good in the Eshki deck.
Yeah, yep. The other cool new cards were Parapet Thrasher and Broodcaller Scourge, which are both like dragon cards. They're both whenever dragon.
Yep.
The most valuable reprint was Hellkite Courser at $20. That was a great reprint. Honestly, super popular even outside of dragon decks. The bang for your buck was very high at $3.88 of reprint value per $1 spent, and the average price per reprint is $2.43. So again, also very high.
Yeah.
I think it's worth noting because I don't know. I've been looking at a lot of these from the like, how much are the cards worth now lens. None of the new cards in this deck are worth more than $2 anymore. With one very notable exception, Ureni is worth about $35, which makes it the single most expensive new card printed in any of these decks.
Yeah. I think it's because it's just a better version of Mirim for people that want to play Mirim effects without having
It goes very well with Mirim.
It goes very well with Mirim
It
for
does,
sure.
yeah.
But if you want to be like, oh, I get 2 for 1 with my commander doing stuff, doing this, because a lot of time Mirim plays where it's you play it, gets deleted, and it's like, darn, I do have to play it and hold up man to do the thing immediately. Whereas
it's
Ureni is
immediate
just like,
value.
you're going to get immediate value, and then if it gets removed, you don't feel quite so bad. If you can give it haste that same turn, it feels amazing.
Yeah.
Your
I mean, it
worst case
smells-
scenario is a free dragon.
It smells like Ur-Dragon, right? Like this is a 3-color Ur-Dragon type of effect where you can, right?
Yeah. Smells like...
Does that smell like...
It's emanating.
For me, this deck was super playable out of the box. The reprint values was off the charts. I mean, we're talking about, I said S value reprints. The new card relevance, I don't think is good. I think most of the cards that came out are very narrow and are dragon focused, where like something that I liked about the Ether Drift Zombie Precon is they weren't all zombie reprints or new cards. This one, they're just dragon cards for the most part.
I still had to give it a high new card rating because if you bought it, you basically made your money back on Ureni.
Yeah. And the cool factor for me is... I'm not a big like like dragon head. So if you're a dragon head, then the cool factor's off the charts. But for me, it was closer to a B.
I will say
gave
the
it an
deck's. Yeah, I gave it an A.
Yeah, overall, I think the deck is an A. I don't think it's an S. It's close though.
It sold me on how fun it was to actually play it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But sure. I looked through all of these. I liked a lot of the precons that came out for Tarkir Dragonstorm, and none of them really pushed it over the top for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I do think the set of 5 Tarkir Dragonstorm decks, even though we were a little harsh on like the Jeskai and stuff, I think it was a good set.
Oh, totally.
Of precons, and it was a fun environment just to play a bunch of them with each other. Mm-hmm. So
you just don't play the Jeskai one; you play the other 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, who plays 5-player commander games anyway?
It's fine. Yeah. All right, we are moving on to the next big bunch of precons. This is Final Fantasy. Again, we're going in alphabetical order, so we're starting with Counter Blitz.
We really should have been going in game order in this one.
I know, you're right.
Alphabetical.
I have failed everything.
That is funny.
The colors of this one are white, blue, and green. It's a Bant deck that cared about counters and proliferation. The face commander is Tidus, Yuna's guardian. Titus, if you want to ignore what Square said, I don't know.
It's Tidus. It sucks.
Tidus.
We know, but it's Tidus. I'm sorry.
That guy was ranked 201st among commanders on EDH Rec, so pretty high.
Yep.
The backup commander is Yuna, Grand Summoner, who's ranked 510th. And the most played new card is Sphere Grid, which is a +1/+1 counter thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
There were some other popular cards that came out of this deck as well, though. The Summon Yojimbo is like pretty expensive, actually.
Really?
Yeah, that's one of the saga creatures.
Yeah, I need to read it again.
It's cool. I don't remember. Is it removal spells?
It exiles an artifact, enchantment, or tap creature, and then it gives you like a sphere of safety effect for the next
Yeah.
That makes sense. So it's more of a classic enchantress card. Oaka Traveling Merchant was also in this deck, and he's sweet. The most valuable reprint for the deck was Damning Verdict at $23. It was a very high reprint.
Yep, destroy all non creatures without counters on them.
Without counters, yeah. It's also a huge blowout in the deck. I love that they printed it.
Yeah, unless Josh Lee quite counters it.
That's true.
Or not counters it, stops you from getting the effect.
The bang for your buck value we're going to anticipate is a little bit lower on the Final Fantasy decks just because they don't have as many reprints in them.
Yeah, and they were expensive to get.
And they were very expensive. So
to the point where it's hard for us to even put a number on.
The value that we used was $70 because that was the MSRP when we did the episodes, but most of them were just not available for that price. Some of them were available for under that price, so it was all over the place.
Turns out now they're very available.
They're very they're everywhere.
Which is something I called out, by the way, is that these are the types of products that they want to make a lot of.
Gotta keep printing.
The initial, obviously they're going to sell out because the set was so popular. But
So the bang for your buck value is low at $2.19, and the average price per reprint is the number to sort of give you a better idea of the reprint value is high at $2.33. So there were fewer reprints, but there were higher quality overall.
Yeah.
Counter Blitz is an interesting deck. We didn't get to see a great performance out of it from Jacob just because he missed so many land drops in that game.
Yeah.
But I have heard that this deck is the most powerful of the bunch.
Out of the box, it's a pretty clean working strategy that, like draws you cards and puts counters on things, moves it around. Like it just kind of works. Compared to a lot of the Final Fantasy decks, which were fun, but had to kind of sacrifice building around their theme to, fit all the characters and stuff into it. I think this was the most focused as a deck. Yeah, I agree. Also, counters is just sort of a low bar to clear.
Definitely.
So
you can print some really interesting stuff that feels thematic that doesn't stray too far from counters. That being said, counters is not a particularly inspired theme. For me, I don't love +1/+1 counters decks. I find that they're very overdone, and we have a lot of support for them, especially generically, like put a +1 counter on everything and proliferate. So for me, I was like, the playability is really high. This deck is very powerful. It's the most cohesive of the bunch, I think. The reprint value is fine. The long-term relevance in terms of like the cards that they printed are okay, but they're pretty narrow in terms of where they're actually going to wind up.
I will say, of all the Final Fantasy ones, I think Sphere Grid is the highest value right now and most played.
Sure.
And this also has like 2 other cards that are worth over $5.
Oh, yeah.
Summon Ixion and Yuna Grand Summoner.
Right,
Yuna. Yeah.
Yuna's the backup, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Summon Ixion's another Saga removal spell type of thing.
Which is a pretty nice thing. And Tidus himself is worth over $6. So
I think Tidus
there's
is
some
the
value
most
here.
interesting part of this deck for me because that to me was like, oh, cool. This is like the Tom Bombadil type of thing. It's got interesting mechanics and moving stuff around and it's just counters of any type. But yeah, it wasn't super interesting as it's just a counter deck.
Yeah.
I gave it a B though. It's well built. If you play it, it's fun.
Yeah, I landed
art's
on a
great.
B as well. I think out of the box, you can totally play it and you can do some interesting stuff. Being able to move the Saga counters around, I think, is the most interesting thing that the deck offers.
I gave this one an A. I think if you're not looking at it from how much you like Final Fantasy games, and to be fair, I've never played 10, so you didn't get any points for that from me. I think this was the most solid deck out of the bunch.
Yeah. That means that our overall grade on Counter Blitz is a B.
It's a B.
It's a B.
It's a B.
Barrio.
It's a B. Barrio. Great. Love this joke.
Oh man, we're fired from working on Final Fantasy stuff anymore.
Square's gonna
What
be
do you
like,
mean?
It's Mario.
It's me, Tidus.
From our game, Mario RPG.
Yeah. Square used to be a on Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Up next.
Which brings us to
Limit
the revival.
Break.
Limit Break. I looked at the bottom
almost.
We're to Limit Break, which is the Final Fantasy VII Precon, of course. It's white, it's red, it's green. It cared about equipment and power 7 or greater. See what they did there?
Aha.
The face commander, of course, is Cloud X Soldier, who's ranked number 95
Very
among
high.
commanders on EDH Rec. I think because he is Cloud, but also,
he's cool.
This deck was beloved. The backup commander is Tifa, martial artist. She's ranked at number 616 on EDH Rec.
Because people still don't understand how she works.
Yeah, exactly.
I say it's a little surprising.
She's very powerful.
She seems strong.
It's very, very powerful. The most played new card is Sid Free Flyer
All right,
Pilot.
Sid.
Does anybody remember that one?
Well, I'm looking at him.
I'm looking at him
read
now,
Sid
yeah.
for us real quick.
So Sid is 1 and a white. For equipment and vehicle spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And then during your turn, Sid has flying. Very relevant. But then he has 2 and tap. Return target equipment or vehicle card from your graveyard to your hand. So
Okay, he's an equipment card.
he's an equipment and
He combines a
vehicle.
lot of equipment effects that normally you see on like 2 or 3 cards onto one, which
Yeah.
is great.
True.
Yeah.
This is very powerful. It's
He's a
got
nice
it's
utility piece.
recursion, it's a ramp piece, and he's a flyer to wear the equipment.
Yeah, I've been stuck with a recursion piece of equipment in my equipment decks so many times where it's like, well, no one's actually gotten rid of my equipment. They just killed the creatures they were attached
Right,
to.
Yeah.
So like this has no effect right now.
Right.
So
This one also had Ultimate Magic Holy, which was pretty cool.
holy.
That's the board protection spell.
The
yeah?
foretell one.
The foretell
Yeah.
one
Right,
protection,
yes.
The foretell instant that can, protect everything.
It was not
Sure.
the foretell card I had in my game on
Yeah.
Precons.
The most valuable reprint that came out in this deck is Clever Concealment at $25.
With the great art too.
This was the best, most valuable reprint of the year. It was the highest value reprint in any Precon that came out this year. So 25 is lower than we've seen before. I think last year the high was like $30. But Clever Concealment is a great card and huge to have in the Final Fantasy art. The bang for your buck for this deck was $2.52, which we expect to be pretty low, but the average price per reprint was the highest of the year at $2.75. So it says that the average reprint is quite high quality despite having a few of them.
And it holds up. Like looking at the reprints now, it's got like Clever Concealment, Secret Rendezvous, Sword of the Animus, Skull Clamp, Lightning Greaves, Professional Facebreaker. All cards I'd consider basically staples.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the interesting thing about that is I did think it had a lot of really good cards in it, but it was one of the less playable ones out of the box.
Well,
This was the least playable Precon for me, almost across the outside the Jeskai one.
It had almost no equipment relatively for an equipment matters deck. It just didn't have equipment.
It had a fair amount, but it didn't have as much as you'd expect. It was like 13 or something was the number.
And the thing about
Can you
this
get
deck
the-
is that because
Yeah,
it's
find out.
Final Fantasy VII, this has the most memorable characters, I would say, of pretty much every modern Final Fantasy game. Like everyone knows Barret, Tifa, Cloud, Sephiroth, and all that. Whereas a lot of people don't really, people that didn't play the more modern ones may not even know who Kefka is, or Terra, or even Gogo, right?
So it had 16 pieces of equipment, but
16,
it still feels like when you play it, like you're having a tough time finding all the equipment you need.
Yeah, I think they had to, again, put a lot more emphasis into just putting the recognizable characters as cards. And there aren't actually many equipment from the game that you recognize outside of like the Buster Sword.
Right.
Well, and they kind of couldn't put the Buster Sword in it.
Was in the
like
main
they put
set.
Hero's Blade in as a thing, and it's a picture of the Buster Sword, but the Buster Sword is in the main set.
Right.
So.
So I think that it definitely suffered from just like the fact that it's so popular. They had to make, I think, maybe I'm speaking out of line. I don't actually know, but it felt like it's like, well, we got to make sure we put all this huge cast of characters. Red 13 needs to be in here, right? Like Kate Sith, like...
And look, like
and
Final
16
Fantasy
isn't
7
that low in terms of like, if I had a commander that said equipment, I'd probably go a hair higher, but I wouldn't go a ton higher than 16.
I guess. I feel like if you do 16, you don't even reliably draw more than one.
You probably want
like,
two
piece of equipment.
So I would want like 20 probably, but
especially when Cloud like rewards you for having multiple equipped attacking creatures.
Right.
You know? Like,
it does. Yeah. I remember in the game, I mean, you struggle to hit land drops, but you also struggle to just find a piece of equipment.
Yeah, find equipment. Well, I mean, it definitely has games where you just draw a hand and you go, oh boy, I'm just done. I don't have the things I need. And that made my upgrade for it really hard too. I think I fumbled the bag a bit on that one. It just was hard to figure out what direction am I pushing this in? I don't want to cut these cards that make people want to buy this deck in the first place. And so I ran into the same problem doing the upgrade. It was just like, well, I don't want to get rid of all these cool iconic characters because then why are you buying this deck? I think coming off of like the 4 Mirrodin set when the equipment came in with creatures, it was a shame that they couldn't use a lot of that here because it was very specifically mechanics from a different set. And so
they had
something like that, right?
The job select.
Yeah,
but they didn't have any job selects in this.
It felt
all
like
the
it was,
job selects were in
in
the
Ishtola deck.
Ishtola, yeah. I mean, that may be a flavor thing for Final
it was Final
Fantasy.
Fantasy
I don't know.
16 because that's where job select came from. So
14.
again, 14. Yeah. So I think that's again they just ran into that issue. And it feels like just a part of what happens when you have so many moving parts, so many different companies involved, all from different franchises, all with different reasons why people love it. And you're trying to make it a very specific archetype that doesn't necessarily fit the best because the archetype is great for Cloud, which is the character that people most right?
Right.
So you can sort of already see the wheels turning as to why this deck just didn't feel as cohesive as the other ones, even though it had a ton of really memorable and cool cards in it.
I would also say like the equipment theme for Cloud, like every single Cloud that came out was an equipment based.
Yeah.
There's like 4 different Clouds and they all care about equipment. And it's like, what is the one thing we know about Cloud? He's got a big sword.
Got a big sword.
And it felt like some of that, like there could have been one that went in a slightly different direction.
Absolutely.
And I feel like
he's a good friend.
Yeah. Like
he's not a great friend.
I feel like this deck didn't need to be equipment themed. I felt like it could have just been power 7 or greater. And that's pretty cool. And now we're talking about pump effects.
Yeah,
now we're talking about
pump,
Anthem.
to cool things.
Like
Totally.
So I thought that like it was a bummer to me that all the Clouds did exactly the same thing.
And like Final Fantasy VII is one of, if not my favorite game of all time. Like I love that game. So I wanted to love this deck.
Yeah.
But besides just tacking the number 7 onto things, like they literally made that one of the themes, which actually I think is kind of cool.
I think that's fun. Yeah.
It's not something you've seen much before. I don't know. It nothing about him made me go, oh, that's exactly what Cloud do.
Yeah. For me, the like card relevance in terms of like what is playable long term was low. The cool factor was, I think, lower than it could have been. The reprint value was obviously very high, but the playability struggled a little bit because it was trying to match all of these thematic things. So, like we said, these decks were just really trying to serve a lot of masters, and I feel like it made for a really jumbled kind of deck. And I'm kind of bummed out that I landed on a C, but for me, this deck just didn't feel like a Precon more than a stack of Final Fantasy cards.
Yeah.
I'm also on a C.
It felt like a bunch of holiday showcases.
Yeah, which is
put
cool,
together.
but like not necessarily a deck I want to play.
Yeah.
And sadly, like none of the new cards have any value in them now.
Yeah.
And maybe they will when they're like it's years from now and they've stopped reprinting them and stuff, but I'm skeptical.
Yeah. I gave it a C as well. I also think it's just tough because I didn't see Cloud as a white, red, green card.
Yeah, the green was weird.
Yeah, but you have to have Aerith and stuff and other characters from the right. So a lot of these decks also ran into that problem, which makes it a more difficult thing to do overall.
Well, they ran into the trouble where they have a non-black Sephiroth in this deck.
Yeah, that's right.
So you see, they talked about this in why they said they didn't do decks for Avatar because it's actually difficult to figure out the color setup for things.
Unless you make every deck 5 color or whatever, so you can have your options.
That's a terrible
not a good
option.
idea,
But they did it here.
All right, let's move on to the next one. We have a couple more to talk about in Final Fantasy. Up next is Revival Trance. So this was for Final Fantasy VI. It's white, it's black, it's red. This was a self-mill reanimation deck that focused on little guys.
Yep.
So it was power 3 or less. The base commander was Terra, Herald of Hope, ranked 253 among commanders on EDH Rec. The backup commander is Celis, Rune Knight, ranked 413 among commanders on EDH Rec. And the most played new card is Go-Go Mysterious Mime, who is very powerful and sweet, by the way. And mysterious.
Very mysterious. Very ritual.
The other cool new cards in this deck were the Warring Triad was really sweet.
Really cool card.
That's the Manolith that can absolutely whoop your butt. It's ridiculous. It's like a 5/5.
Sometimes it's a flying trample hasty 5/5.
Ow!
This card's sweet.
It's really cool. And Kefka Dancing Mad was a very cool top end card and really felt like Kefka in terms of a big, crazy, impactful.
Every Kefka card has been sweet in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're really good at villains in terms of UB. The most valuable reprint was pretty low at $11. It was Reanimate. So not perfect. The bang for your buck was quite low. It was $1.50. This was the worst of the year. Obviously, the bang for your buck value is low on
all fantasy products,
on UB products just generally.
Yeah.
But this one was so much lower than the next lowest one that I was like, even if we weren't adjusting for the reprints, I do think this one would still have the worst reprint value. And the average price per reprint was also the worst of the year with $1.67 per reprint. So pretty bad reprint value overall, but I will say in terms of cards in the 99, this one had a lot that I was excited about and had a lot of other places to put them in.
And time will tell, I think. I think Warring Triad is just one of those cards that will slowly go up over time. It's
I think Go-Go's the same.
Go-Go for sure,
Go-Go's terrifying.
The red Go-Go, right?
Red Go-Go, the clone.
Kefka is sweet too.
Kefka's sweet. This one also had Lock, which I think is really powerful.
Right.
And it just had some cool stuff going on. So I played this one in game nights and it played really, really well. A lot of the stuff worked together in ways I hadn't really considered, where it's playing stuff that went to your graveyard this turn, but also looting to get stuff into the graveyard, and your commander milled. So it had a lot of different pieces going on and it felt really resilient and really interesting. Where I got to the point where I was doing a ton of things with my turn and I wasn't casting any spells from my hand, which is very cool.
I think this is a really cool way because a big thing about Final Fantasy 16, it has just a massive, massive number of playable characters. 6. We keep saying 16.
Nope.
The thing about Final Fantasy 6 is it has a massive, massive number of playable characters and they put all of them in the deck, which is a really cool thing to pull off, and then building a commander that just sort of rewards you for having lots of little duders that you can do out and is sort of an entire package and works very easy. I think that's a cool way to build it. So even if you are just sort of milling random things and getting whoever back onto the battlefield, I think you're going to have strong games that play pretty well and feel very different every time you play it, depending on who ends up in your graveyard and who you bring back.
I think that's the strength of Blitzball and Revival Trance is that they had low bars to clear in terms of mechanics and the trouble with Limit Break, because equipment decks are already really hard to find the slots for all the cards you need.
Yeah, totally.
You need all the equipment, you need all of the creatures, you need recursion, you need protection. There's so many different things that you need to hit. And then on top of this, you had to hit a bunch of really beloved characters that you had to nail in terms of flavor. So it was just asking a lot of the deck, where this one felt like you could put in kind of whatever you wanted and you could make enough value that it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the most excited about Terra in terms of a commander. Outside of Eshki, I think was my other most excited for commander out of all the precons this last year. So yeah, I think this deck played really well, even though the reprint value and all that stuff is super low. But to me, this was like, man, I'm excited to try and build a Terra deck if I do want to do a Mardu deck. I mean, I compared this to the Zergo deck, and it's like, wow, huge difference.
So much
in
more
terms
interesting
of,
to me.
of interest, and also just like what does well, I think, in commander games to give you a fun experience throughout the whole game instead of I'm off to a great start. Hope I don't get board wiped.
Yeah. Hope I don't cross my fingies.
Yeah.
Revival Trance for me landed on an A despite the low reprint value. This is another one of the precons that I bought this year. I only bought 3 precons. It was the Sultai one from Tarkir Dragonstorm and Revival Trance. The other thing I liked about it is this one was cheap from the jump.
Yeah.
You could find this for $55 immediately, and I bought it for that.
Yep. I gave it an A as well.
I gave it a B. I had to dock it because there's just no money in this deck.
It's true. It's really not.
If you look at the whole deck, there's one card that's currently worth more than $5, and it's Rise of the Dark Realms.
And that card shouldn't be worth more than $5.
No. Cool deck, awesome. Couldn't give it an A.
Sure. Jimmy and I win though because it's A.
Where we stay winning.
All right, we're moving on to the Final Fantasy deck of the list. This is Scions and Spellcraft Final Fantasy 14. 14.
I upgraded this
16.
one.
It's
14.
white and blue and black, and its archetype was non-creature spells. Shrug. The face commander was Y'shtola, Knights Blessed, the best, most built commander of the year, sitting at number 25 on EDH Rec.
Yeah,
for good reason. I mean, it's a whole plan.
Very powerful.
On a card.
The backup commander, not so much. It's Grahatia, Sign Reborn, sitting at 880 on EDH Rec.
Oh, right. That one.
The most played new card from the deck is sweet. It's Tataru Taru. This is a powerful little 2-drop. I haven't picked it up because it's expensive. There's a couple other cool new cards that are in this. Transpose is seeing some amount of play. Fandaniel is seeing some amount of play. Emmet Selk.
So
there's a couple of cool things that are in the 99.
Yeah.
That being said, the most valuable reprint was Sunken Ruins at $22, which is high value, but like not all that exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bang for your buck was $1.68, and the average price per reprint was $1.96. So this is below average in terms of reprint value.
Yeah. Y'shtola is sweet. It's great to find Esper decks that are fun and not super oppressive to play against. Y'shtola definitely just can get going if people don't play around it. And it's very powerful. But again, I think it does the thing that the Sultai Dragon deck did, which is like it's right there.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we can let this live for like 1 or 2 turn cycles, but then we got to deal with it. And it doesn't have the kill me on sight or you lose the game type
Y'shtola can be pretty oppressive.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing all those, counter spells and stuff that are a little more expensive, but Y'shtola kind of makes it worth it and stuff.
Yeah.
You can keep a board down.
Totally.
I think what you said is the whole thing for this deck, where Y'shtola is pretty good.
Yep.
And the rest of the deck was a bit of a mess in terms of how it actually played. It had like dragon stuff and equipment stuff and some kind of control stuff and some amount of goad stuff. And it was all just in service of this generically powerful commander that could really make anything work.
Yeah.
And I think that was the frustrating part about this precon, was everybody wanted to play Y'shtola, and the 99 that she was in front of was kind of like, what is it doing?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even Grahatia says, like, it's a life gain deck.
Or 1/1 counters on a bunch of creatures.
Well, he makes tokens.
Oh, he makes tokens that makes him
He
big,
makes
right?
1/1 colorless hero creature tokens and puts counters on them. You pay life to make things.
It's a life loss deck?
This is the
pay
same.
life.
It's
He
the
has
Final
lifelink.
Fantasy VII problem all over again. There are a lot of characters and a lot because it's a MMO.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's a huge game. It's like trying to put all of World of Warcraft into a single precon.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I know people were like, I know FF14 players were excited about a lot of the characters in it.
Yeah.
But when you make a commander that wants non-creature spells, but you have to include a lot of creature spells, you're fighting yourself.
It makes your deck weird, yeah.
When I was upgrading this one, what I wanted to cut was everything.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about the Cloud deck. But then I was like, if I do that, then I'm going to upset the people that like having Kate Sith in here.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Vincent and all that. Yeah.
Which is like, that's why these decks are really exciting. So I really struggled with this ranking. I sort of landed on a B. The playability wasn't great. The reprint was like, okay, I guess. But in terms of like relevance, it is hard to overlook the fact that Y'shtola was immediately gravitated to, is a really powerful commander, and there are some really good new cards in there. I just would immediately dismantle this deck and not call it a deck you should play.
I had to give this a C. It just was like, it had the cool potential of Y'shtola, but it was just so unfocused. It just needed so much work out of the box.
Yeah, I agree.
I gave this a B just because Y'shtola is so powerful, and in the Precon environment, I think this was by far the best deck, even though just because of Y'shtola.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm convinced of that. Like, if you were playing the 4 Precon, I mean, I know how it worked out on game nights.
Yeah.
But
I think even without that as a tester, just like looking at them in total, the only one that comes close is Revival Trance, I think, and then the Cloud one is so far behind.
Counter Blitz is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think like Y'shtola can cover all manner of sins.
Sure.
I think is the most powerful commander for sure. I think in terms of the 99, it was probably third, which is crazy. In terms of power level. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. As a product, like, would I recommend somebody buy this Precon? Yeah, I think I would. I think there's enough new cards and there's enough like exciting stuff going on that you should buy it. Do I recommend you should play this deck? No, I don't. I think it needs a lot of work.
I don't think I'd recommend buying it at the prices it was going for.
Yeah. These days it's a lot lower.
Sure. But yeah, there's 3 cards that are worth, or 4 cards worth over $5 if you're counting Sunken Ruins.
Sick.
So.
Sick. Yeah, I think if you're a big 14 fan, then obviously there's a lot here for you. But
yeah. I don't
Definitely.
know.
But I still thought the deck, it's generically powerful, and I think they did a really good job representing at least the 14 characters. And the people I've talked to that play 14 think so. In general, I think are like, oh yeah, this is awesome. This is exactly what Hugrahatia is type stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we land on a B, but it's sort of like a generous B in my head.
A generous B.
All right, we've got one more set of Precons. This is Edge of Eternities. There's only 2 Precons for this set. The first one is Counterintelligence.
Oh, yeah.
Another Jeskai deck. It's white, it's blue, it's red. This time it was charge counters and proliferation.
Yes!
Was
not
the set.
spells matter.
Yay!
I like this deck.
This deck was sweet. The face commander is In Spirit Flagship Vessel. This is the worst ranked face commander, and it's because everybody put Kilo in the command zone.
Yeah, well, it's also
Kilo's
like
way
Station
cooler.
is weird. And I don't think people have gotten around to figuring out Station yet, so it makes sense.
It's very interesting. So In Spirit's at 472 on EDH Rec, which is the worst out of any face commander.
Yeah.
This is the one that cares about charge counters and proliferate. It like puts charge counters and +1 counters on things. The backup commander is much more popular at 275. This is Kilo Apogee Mind. This is a much more powerful commander. Whenever it becomes tapped, you proliferate.
Which can happen multiple times a turn.
The most played new card was Uthros Research Craft. This was a spacecraft. This is the one that whenever you cast an artifact, you draw a card.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's good.
And then you put a charge counter on it, and it becomes a beater. Why not?
When you cast an artifact after you've stationed it.
After you've stationed it, yes. Yeah, you do have to crew your spacecraft. Other cool new cards, this had Patrolling Peacemaker, which is a pretty sweet card. That's
a crime pillar. Anytime anyone commits a crime, you proliferate.
It's pretty sweet. And Surge Conductor, which is very powerful in certain decks. This one, I found Surge Conductor to be one of the better cards in the deck.
You like put that together with like that new Tezzeret, and then you're ulting that same turn very easily. Gnarly. Yeah.
The most valuable reprint in the deck was Cyber Drive Awakener at $18. The bang for your buck was the best of the year at $4.07. Over $4 for a bang for your buck is huge. The average price per reprint was higher, but it was only $2.32, which is interesting. So that means that there was like only a couple cards held most of the value.
Yeah.
What did we think about this deck?
I liked it. I'm just so glad to have a Jeskai deck that's not
something else.
Yeah, just something else. I think like Edge of Eternities was not so great and limited, but really amazing with Commander.
Really good Precons, I agree.
Because it's a cool setting. They're allowed to explore a bit more, especially with the other deck that I want to talk about that had nothing to really do with space at all.
I thought it did. Yeah, I love it.
I mean, it's not like,
But yeah.
it's not spaceships and robots in space or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
this is-
bugs, but
This is such a spaceship.
yeah, this is a
deck.
spaceship deck. It's got cool theming. The reprint value is great. Kilo's amazing.
I really like the flavor of Kilo. Look, I'm a sucker for like tap untap synergy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's cool that you can like make this factory with Kilo where you're being like doop 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 doop.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that Kilo doesn't necessarily. I mean, you can attack, but
You can crew a spacecraft.
but sure. But I'm saying like on its face,
Yeah.
Kilo doesn't enable itself to tap.
Right,
You know,
yeah,
it's not like it gave it a tap ability and then
Yeah, it's
said
a
when
very
you tap
simple
it, it
line
does
of
it.
text. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you
got
get to do
haste
a
so it
little
can
bit with it.
attack, but you're not really trying to attack with it.
Yeah, it sounds dangerous. I will block. This deck was sweet. I mean, I goldfished both of these decks a lot, and out of the box, both of them played great.
Yeah.
They were just really powerful. The curve was really strong.
Yeah.
Even with Inspirit in the command zone, I thought like the deck worked really well and made a huge amount of mana. And it added a bunch of new charge counters tech, which we really didn't have before and is something that people have wanted to lean into. So there was an element of coolness coming into the counterintelligence deck.
And it's nice when it like makes you look at old cards that had charge counter and go, ooh.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I'd say, the definitive charge counter commander is Inspirit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, it's just so good.
So for me, I landed on an A, which is interesting because for me, playability was an S, reprint value was an S. The relevance of the new cards is sort of like B. They're fine. They're narrow in terms of like where they're going to show up. They're like either proliferate or they're artifact like super specific. And the cool factor, I have it at a B. It probably could be an A because of like the spaceness of it.
This sounds like it's an S.
Is it an S?
For you, perhaps.
I'm close.
I'm an A on this.
Yeah?
I don't think I gave S to anything this year.
I had this as a B, but as we talk through it, I'm like thinking of my things, and I don't think that's fair. Like,
I don't think
it
B's
should
fair
be
for
an
this
A.
deck.
The reprint value is huge.
Yeah,
on this.
$4 is bananas.
I had brought it down because there's currently not much value in it.
Yeah.
But it's still in print. You know, like these decks are still out there at their like MSRP price.
Yeah.
A lot of time. So
I think a card like Surge Conductor is going to skyrocket
go up.
over time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that
just,
card's
it's
great.
just so generically powerful.
I think I just got to revise mine to an A. I don't think it's quite S. I also agree. I just don't know if there was any decks that I considered an S this year.
Yeah.
But I think this deserves an A.
I think A is a fair grade for the counterintelligence precon overall. It was cool. This deck felt really
cool.
good. It was what I expect out of a precon. And honestly, the power level on both of these decks was kind of out of control.
Especially this next one, yeah.
The final deck that we're going to talk about this year is World Shaper. This is black, red, and green. The archetype was lands, but specifically sacrificing lands and bringing them back to the battlefield. The face commander was the spacecraft Hearthhole, the World Seed, ranked 164 on EDH Rec. So right about where we expect these like popular commanders to land. And the backup commander, Zarel Genesis Shepherd, was 605. So less popular. The most played new card is Exploration Broodship, which is exploration, but a spacecraft.
A brood ship.
But a brood ship, excuse me. The cool other new cards was Horizon Explorer is really
Love
sick.
Horizon Explorer.
This card's awesome. It makes lander tokens, and then it makes your lands come in untapped. So it's just like if you're attacking and want more lands, you should play it.
Yeah.
And then it had Vernal Fen was the other one where they
land, yeah.
They finished a couple, not finished, but they continued a couple of cycles.
Yeah.
With Vernal Fen and then the cycling green
It's
black.
the Tango Land. It's
the Tango Land, and they
Lands.
also did the cycling land, I think, in this one too.
Yeah.
So the most valuable reprint in the deck was Corvold, sitting at $15 at time of reprint. He has plummeted since then.
Yeah.
The bang for your buck on this deck is about average. It's $3.02, and the average price per reprint is a hair below average at $1.91.
This deck rocks.
It rocks.
really cool.
This deck is awesome.
I bought it immediately. I bought this deck immediately, and I was like, I'm gonna keep it together. I'm gonna play it because like I played a Bug Lady in Mars Space D&D,
Right.
and I was like, it's perfect. Like the flavor's awesome, and I played it one time. It destroyed the table, and I was like, I can't keep this deck together because like I can't keep it and have it be like my precon.
Right.
And I don't want to upgrade it because it'll be way too powerful then. So I was like, well, shoot.
What do I do?
What am I going to do?
The only reason I didn't pick this deck up because I was really interested
Yeah.
is that I have kind of a hard 4 Lord Windgrace already.
Sure,
And it's
yeah.
like it would just be dealing with a lot of the same stuff.
It's very Windgrace.
Yeah.
But if you want a like lands matter, sacrificey, go from the graveyard, do stuff like that deck, like I couldn't recommend this more highly. It's got so much good stuff.
There's so much play to it. It's like you do so much stuff.
Yeah.
It's even got like an Oracle of Moldiah, a Fabled Passage, Gitrog monster we mentioned. Like these are all just fun cards to play.
Gitrog is not a fun card.
You're wrong.
This is
it's got Gitrog Dakmor.
Yeah, this one does have an infinite combo. So as long as you have more than 7 cards, you can discard Dakmor on end step. And
to be fair, this is not an infinite combo that wins.
No.
It is.
It may deck you actually. Yeah.
It might. Gitrog do.
I do agree that if you already have a landfall deck, you're not really interested in another one.
This
at
is
least
land
in my experience,
which is also what I have.
But of all the precons, this one caught my eye. So did the Mardu one in Final Fantasy. Just like it was like kind of cool, doing something a little different. That's not quite the same landfall strategy you see a bunch of times, and just the card design was I think the design and the flavor of this was really awesome.
Yeah, they made Shorikai for lands. What? Why? What?
Like I didn't expect when Edge of Eternity was coming out, I was like, we're all space all the time. I wasn't expecting like the bug people doing their cool bug stuff, Ice Tail exploring or whatever.
Yeah. I really thought I love that they got into terraforming and like expanding and like getting to know other planets. Like I liked that they the two precons were the like in space and on a planet.
Yeah,
like, I
one
thought
was
that
like
was
high
very
technology,
cool.
and one was like a bioorganic thing going on.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh yeah,
very cool.
That's how you get green in space.
Yeah, that's one. Well, if you asked me to design this set, I would have just done all spaceships all the time. Yeah, this never would have crossed my mind because obviously lands. But
I mean, like look at the look of Hearth Hall of the World Seed. It looks like a giant like
seed pod
pod that's like spinning and slowly landing down on.
The colors, the purples, so nice.
I think this deck is sick. I loved the flavor. I loved the bug people. I loved like it's super powerful. There's a ton of play. Like if you buy this and start playing it tomorrow, it'll be the best deck in your collection, which is kind of crazy for a precon. But I gave it an S. So
I got an A from me. I think it's really cool and good. But I don't know, the fact that it wasn't like a new archetype or anything didn't quite get it up to S for me.
Sacrifice. That's totally different.
I mean,
totally different.
I have a land sacrifice Lord Windgrace deck, so
totally
I'm just like, it's not that different.
I gave this deck an A.
Yeah. That means overall we are calling it an A.
Take that, Rachel.
Yeah.
But you gave it an S.
I gave it an S.
That's the first S of the entire show and the last, because that's it with the precons. But there's a lot more interesting things that we're going to talk about here.
Yeah, so we're going to put the ranking on screen so you can see all of the overall ranking. You'll notice that a lot of these are in the middle. Every single ranking that we gave was between A and C. Well, there's one D.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the Jeskai one, and it's not because it's bad. It's because yuck.
Yeah,
I also think we sort of talked ourselves into D as we were like.
I agree.
We were like, okay, D.
Yeah, we could give something a D.
I think playability ended up being really important in our factoring as well. Maybe a little bit more so, just because we buy precons to play them, not necessarily to collect them. I mean, if you're really trying to collect and do all that stuff, great. But generally, people are pretty they know how to buy singles these days, right? So
and you want precons to be decks that you can talk to a friend who's trying to get into Commander and be like, buy this.
Yeah,
play it.
Have fun.
So how do you think they did this year? I mean, we've got everything is sort of like above average. To average, but nothing really blew our minds. So
I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah.
Precons are meant to be beginner products. We almost never have to say like, oh, they designed this poorly. It doesn't have enough card draw or ramp in it. They figured that doesn't even factor into our
gotten way
equation
better about
anymore,
that
which is great, right? And it's right in the sweet spot of like, they should be easy to get entry level products for new players. So it's okay that none of them blow our minds, because the last thing you want, imagine if there was a Final Fantasy sellout for every single set because there was always one precon that was just so much better than the rest, so holy moly that all the experienced veteran players and the people that want to collect it for value are buying it off the shelves. Like, you want these to be available. So I think you need to not necessarily be that powerful to allow that to happen as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for like There was only a couple of precons that we were like, yeah, it didn't really do it.
Yeah.
That we talked about this entire year.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can buy a deck and you can go to a game store and you can play Commander is really exciting. And it does feel like they sort of have precons down to a science. Like a lot of these felt very similar. They felt in the same sort of realm of playability and of value, and it just feels like we know what a precon looks like now, and it's a pretty good deck that gets you pretty good value with some exciting new commanders that you can build around.
Yeah,
and occasionally there's a card that pops off super hard later.
Right. Yeah.
I like that they've sort of shifted the philosophy, or it feels like they have. Instead of being like, this precon's really going to need some upgrades before it's worth playing.
Right.
Like now it's like, no, you can generally sit down with a precon and hold your own.
Yeah.
Like maybe you don't always win, but like
you'll do stuff.
You can do powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
unless it's the Cloud one.
Well,
you can do some powerful stuff
sure,
if
you
you have
can
a
still
good
defend
hand
yourself.
in Cloud. You can kill somebody on like turn 5.
Yeah,
But also, if you have a bad hand in Cloud, you won't do anything by turn 10.
That's why Y'shtola is a better deck, because you just play the commander.
I think it's worth noting because, you know, we did these rankings last year.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the stuff we said about some of the Final Fantasy ones are very similar to what we said about the Fallout ones.
Yeah.
Which is like they were cool decks and had some neat pieces if you liked all those characters and stuff, but were a little less focused as precons overall. And I think that that's just kind of going to be something we see in these universes beyond precons.
Yeah, it rhymes with what we said about Doctor Who as well.
Yep, absolutely.
I do think the complexity has gone down since Doctor Who, which is great. There's still some amount of it that, like, I think playing Tidus is a very complicated deck, for example. But the fact that some of these decks were a little bit more approachable, and some of the like cards in particular were cut down on words, and you just could have a chance at actually playing these if you're a new player, which is cool.
And I know that we talk a lot about UB and its ills for the game, but it is a marvel that the UB decks also are pretty playable, given the extra restrictions that the designers probably have to literally wade through to get these into a place where they can even print them and have everyone be happy.
Yeah, right? I agree.
And I mean, I feel like overall, Final Fantasy was a pretty good UB like fit, and they did a good job designing stuff around it.
Absolutely.
Pretty neat. So.
Yeah. And like the fact that all of those you can still play out of the box, and for the most part you can have like a good deck is very fun.
Yeah.
Like I think they've done a really nice job with precons this year. What do we think about there only being 13?
I'm totally fine with that. Boy, oh boy. I mean, Rachel, you're the one that should speak the most about it. That says this completely directly correlates to your workload and overwhelming every single year.
The interesting thing about this is I do think that we're missing some precons from this year. I think people wanted Avatar precons. I think Spider-Man could have been a better set if it was just precons. It wasn't a standard mess, wasn't draftable.
Like, 1,000,000,000%.
And I think those sets would have been more palatable and people would have been more excited if they had precons to go with them. So I honestly am like, do think that 13 was a little low. I think we probably could have gone up to having maybe 4 for Avatar, or like we do 2 for Spider-Man and 2 for Avatar, something like that.
Yeah. I felt some real sadness when it was like, we're not doing Avatar precons, and I was like, what? But the Fire Nation.
I agree. I think there's 4 nations, and they really struggled with colors to get them divided, maybe. Yeah. But I do think that was a big downside for this year, and the fact that there's only 13 and it's done for Edge of Eternities, that was months ago, is a bit of a shame for Commander players. So I expect that we'll see more in the years to come, but we'll see.
Yeah, they'll be tied to sets mostly, as they have been, so we will see.
Seems like it.
Best set of precons for the year for you?
The best set of them?
Best set, of the 4.
It's probably Edge of Eternities, but I do respect that Tarkir Dragonstorm was able to pull 5 together that are still fun.
That are really good. I think that's a good answer.
Tarkir is my choice because I did love both of the Edge of Eternities ones, but Tarkir had to do 5. And I think like if it was just Sultai and Temur, and we were like just comparing those two to the Edge of Eternities, it would be a pretty close battle, but then they had to do 3 others, and they were also pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I liked that it had kind of the old Commander Christmas feel where like everybody could buy a deck and play it against each other, and I think that's fun.
Yeah. I agree. I think Edge of Eternities for me, the average is higher, but the fact that there's only 2 says a lot. So I think I'm going to go with Edge just because those are the ones that got me the most excited, but I do agree that Tarkir Dragonstorm had a great showing this year.
Yeah, sure.
Worst set of precons for the year.
Yikes.
Final Fantasy.
Mine's Ether Drift.
Ether Drift, probably. I mean, I will say I wasn't excited. There was not visible excitement for me for either of those two. I was hoping to be way more, maybe it was because I was also hoping to be way more excited about Final Fantasy, because I was like, holy crap, Final Fantasy Precons, this could be so. And then when they came out, I was like, darn, they had to do it by game, probably because of licensing issues as well. They couldn't just be mixing and matching all of the sets in the Precon specifically. And then it wasn't as cohesive as I wanted. But yeah, I think Ether Drift still was kind of the most, it was just like, we've seen all of this before.
I still think it's me. For me, it's Final Fantasy. And a big part is that they were so hard to get your hands on for a while. They were so expensive.
That did suck.
And then for that, there's not much value in any of them. Like, if you had them now, not many cards are worth much.
Yeah.
Not many reprints are worth much. And there was a lot of sacrifices in, like, they were playable, but I think if you sat down with the Final Fantasy decks against almost any of the other decks, you'd lose.
That's interesting.
Because I
don't know if that's true. I feel like Counter Blitz would definitely...
I think Counter Blitz might be the exception, but I think in general, like the best thing about Counter Blitz and Revival Trance, which I think were the most playable out of the box, was that they were like, oh, sweet. They managed to make a strategy that works in spite of the fact that the cards are pretty unfocused. Which I should clarify, I don't think they were bad. Like, I think they were cool, but I think they were expensive, didn't play as cleanly, and don't have a ton of value in them right now. And those things just put them at the back of the pack for me.
The price point is a great point. They were at $70 kind of on average when we were talking about them, and they're not.
And some were way more than that. Like some were really tough to find for a while.
Yeah, I mean, Cloud and Y'shtola were basically impossible to find on shelves and were like anywhere between $80 and $120. So the price point is definitely the worst. But for me, in terms of just like the ones that I sort of completely ignored, was Ether Drift.
Sure.
They felt like they had very little impact overall and didn't really add anything new.
Yeah, okay.
All right, we are going to have a quick conversation before the episode ends about archetypes we would love to see in Precons in the years to come, maybe in 2026, I don't know. But before we get to that, if you want to buy any of the Precons that we talked about, any of the singles that we talked about, maybe this was a reminder of cards that exist for you. You can support the show if you go to cardkingdom.com/command. Card Kingdom has a huge selection of singles sealed product. You can get yourself one of these Precons. And if you're building any of the commanders that we talked about, you can just paste that deck list into their advanced shopping option and buy all the cards you want on one page. I cannot overstate how convenient and fast it is to be buying all of these separate little items. So use Card Kingdom. You can get all the cards in one place and they're going to ship it to you safely. And you'll support the show when you do if you use cardkingdom.com/command.
And then head on over to ultrapro.com/command and pick up that binder or the deck sleeves. Deck sleeves? Yeah, sure. That's what I call them. The dice, the playmats, the wall scrolls, whatever you need, the card sorter trays, Ultra Pro's got something for everyone. They probably still have a lot of the Apex sleeves that were themed to each of the sets that we talked about. So if you want to play one of the cool, if you want to play the World Shaper deck and have the, whatever the name of the bug people is on the sleeve.
Eumidian,
there we go. Yeah, you can check it all out. They have Apex sleeves now for pretty much every single set. These are the best shuffle feel in the business. They've also got tons of stuff there like the Mana 8 line, which we love signing at conventions. But yeah, check it all out. There will be something on that website that intrigues you and maybe at a great discount and deal as well. Right now, ultrapro.com/command. All right, bonus content.
Yay!
Exciting. Thanks for sticking around. What archetype do you want to see a Precon have in 2026 that wasn't sort of covered in this year or ever?
So some big ones that I was thinking about, I was just like, what are popular archetypes that I've never seen a Precon for? And one of the big ones for me was Life Gain. We really haven't seen a Life Gain Precon that is just Life Gain.
Interesting.
That's like Soul Sisters, and a lot of those cards need reprints. A lot of those payoffs need reprints, and it's very, very popular in terms of archetypes. So I'm surprised that we really haven't seen a Precon in that realm before.
Yeah.
Very cool. I was thinking about activated abilities. Like, have we seen a lot of Precons? And maybe it's a little too technical, a little too in the weeds.
This is like my favorite type of game to play though, with lots of little...
whenever you activate an ability of this thing or like activate abilities gain something, I don't know, there could be something there that
they've done
I feel like there's some
main set commanders, but they've never done a Precon for that kind of thing.
So that was something I was thinking about. Or I was thinking things that play with like end step more, or like your second main phase, or just like things that kind of add some additional flavor. You know, we've seen a lot of upkeep triggers, a lot of event sub triggers, but stuff that kind of, because Sundial of the Infinite is like one of my favorite cards of all time.
Yeah.
So
like,
stuff that just kind of plays in that world too, I think would be
Mono
interesting.
blue Ishtola doubles up your end step.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see some stuff that's like, and they've done some kind of like this before, but I like combat manipulation type stuff.
Like more goad stuff.
Yeah, goad stuff, things that reward people for doing specific things in combat. You know, I don't know. I just like playing around with the combat step, especially if it like kind of changes how the whole board rules work to a certain extent. So
That's fun.
I think that's neat.
Master Warcraft.
Oh, dogs. Yeah. We've seen a lot of cats. We've seen a lot of cat
More
decks.
dogs, please.
Dog deck.
Sure.
It would sell like gangbusters. They snuck a dog commander as like the backup in MKM, and there was no dogs in the deck.
That's so funny.
Dog deck.
They did have the Cats and Dogs Secret Lair that was really popular.
Really popular, but it's always cats also. Dog deck. Dog deck. That's my pitch. For
Dog deck.
2026 is Dog Deck.
Princess Donut would have something to say about that. All right. Big thanks to our amazing team here at the Command Zone that edit and put these episodes together. Sebastian Salazar, Karina Cruz, Gaurav Galati, Jamie Block, Jake Boss, Becky Bell, Rachel Kendra, Eric Lem, Manson Long, Josh Murphy, Evan Limburger, Sam Waldo, and Josh Lee Kwai. And of course, special thanks to Jordan Pridgeon.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping
Jordan
by.
Pridgeon.
Bye-bye. See you next time.